How important is the Elite 11 in evaluating the quarterbacks around the country and what we see later on at the college level and even at the National Football League level? Hi, my name is Brian Smith, and I am a longtime scout who has absolutely fallen in love with the Elite 11 in terms of covering it, being around it, and evaluating it from up close and afar for several reasons. And I want to talk a little bit tonight about why people should look at the Elite 11 as an important data point, but not to also make it the only one. Because at the end of the day, the game is played in pads, not just in shorts. So there's a process with the quarterback play, and I'm going to use a few examples to talk about it. The picture behind me that you see, that is Prentiss Air Noland, committed to Ohio State. He's one of the guys I know well. I've known him for 3-4 years. He's a guy that I think will absolutely be a great college player, but I didn't need him to go here to know that. It was just an extra data point. So how do we separate? What's the difference between an Elite 11 quarterback that goes to the finals, and he was rated in the top 10 by pretty much everybody that covers it, some top 5, whatever, and somebody who either didn't make it to the finals or possibly didn't even come close? Like what goes into it? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about different segments of that in this podcast. But first off, know that anybody can have a great day the one day they come out to the Elite 11 at the regional they go to. There were a couple of kids that I'd heard about that were supposedly really, really great players. And then I went and saw them play, and quite frankly, I wasn't as impressed. While there were other kids, I'm like, who is this over here? There are a couple kids like that in the state of Florida, a few kids like that in Georgia, North Carolina, etc., that I'm just like, well, I didn't know about this kid. I need to learn more about him. That's why you go. It's a beginning data point more than anything else. It can go up or down too. Again, kids have good days and bad, but it's a beginning data point. That's the most important thing to note overall here. We are using this as a part of the process. Anybody that evaluates prospects, it's a starting point. 2, competition. Competition. The guy going in front of you is pretty darn good. You're doing the same reps. They do them in groups. They put these kids in these groups, and everybody does the same drills. They just rotate them around, and they wear them out. Middle of the day in the heat, here we go. You're going to get wore out. And then the back half of it, after they do a little halftime, is, in my opinion, harder because it's more about footwork and mental. After you're tired, obviously, that's difficult. That's another way to evaluate kids. How mature are they? Do they take on that task of understanding Elite 11 isn't just about you throwing into a net or hitting a receiver? They got these young men to come out and catch passes and stuff. It's not just about that. It's when you throw it. It's the rhythm. It's the consistency with your footwork. All of those things are subpoints of the original data point, just getting an idea what they're like. Guys have certain strengths. We always evaluate certain strengths, what they did best, and each day is layered in a different manner. For instance, the Elite 11 finals, they do a lot of rollouts day one. Kids that are a little more mobile probably got a better chance to do that, and they may have even been schooled on it more, depending on who their quarterback coach is, depending on the school they play for, depending on the coach that they worked with growing up. Whatever it is. Some of these kids are also baseball players. They're used to throwing against their body, whatever. It's all segmented. So we have a lot of data points from that as well. But what do we really evaluate guys on at the quarterback position? Seeing them on a Friday night. There's nothing like that. I tell every quarterback that I meet that's being recruited the same thing. It's not very friendly. Moms don't want to hear it, but it's true. I'm going to evaluate you more on the following scenario than anything else, and there's not even another 5 spots behind. I mean, it's just 1 through 5. When you're looking right down the gun barrel at somebody getting ready to blast you, can you step into the throw and make a money ball? That is a checkbox. The guys that do are the guys that get paid more often than not. That's an old standby in the NFL. And while there's some credence to quarterbacks getting out of the way, and I get it, sometimes elite quarterbacks will go down or kind of dive under them or whatever. Peyton Manning used to do it, several other guys. Don't take free shots if you don't have a pass. It's stupid. Absolutely. Take the sack, you'll go out on the field on another drive, whatever. But if you can't make money throws with a guy coming at you, full speed, in pads, full contact, period, then I can't say that you're going to be very good long term. Might make it to college, but are you going to succeed? Probably not. So let's keep that in mind. The other things are obvious: arm strength, natural accuracy, things of that nature. I want to see that on a Friday night above all else. Now that against here, this is the extra data point. The Friday nights come first. When you learn and get better at the Elite 11, and then I see you the next season on Friday night, and I notice differences, that's the other point about Elite 11 and why it's so important. These kids, they're nowhere near ready to play in college. Julian Sayin is tremendous. He's committed to the University of Alabama. He's grown up playing quarterback at the state of California, which is obviously known for some of the greatest quarterbacks ever. One of my favorite players, John Elway, is from the state of California, played at Stanford. There's a lot of guys that come out of there that are a little more prepared. They really do a great job in that state. They absolutely do. But is he going to be ready to play for frickin' Nick Saban as a true freshman? Probably not. And I'm not blaming Julian Sayin if he's not. And that's why we get into the final point, perception. Just because you're committed to school X, whatever one it is, ranked really high every year, mid-level, Power 5, not Power 5, whatever, it doesn't mean that you're great. It doesn't mean that you're also a player that's able to really handle it from one snap to the next every game, especially as a freshman. Quarterback's hard. It's really, really hard. We know that as scouts, and sometimes we see kids and they're like, man, I talk to a guy, I see a game that I know it's a scout, and I'd be like, yeah, I saw so-and-so, and he didn't look good the other night. And I'll say, I saw him a month ago. He was great. They're human. So we're dealing with 17-year-olds, but we're still probably going to evaluate the game stuff a little more. So with that, I'm going to share my screen here in just a second, and there's a kid that I found to be pretty interesting. I'm just going to put him up on the screen. He's committed to Texas Tech. He finished the top 10 by the 247 rankings, like number 6 or something like that. It is just an example. I want to talk over while he's throwing the ball around. And for the people listening to this and listen to what I'm saying while I'm throwing, note that this is a kid committed to Texas Tech. I hadn't watched his film until a few minutes before I did this video. It is very obvious, and it'll show again here on film, this is Huddle from his junior year, that he can play. No doubt about it. In Elite 11, and everybody thought that he was good enough to go to the finals, did well, etc. But he's committed to Texas Tech. So don't fall into that trap. Oh, well, Julian Sayin's going to Alabama. Of course he's good. It's not that easy. Alabama misses too. Quarterback and O-line, those are the two spots that are the easiest by far for a school to miss because so much of the development is after they get to college. We're guessing, folks, because we don't know how much that kid right over there and that kid right over there are going to go out and do all the things off the field they need to do and take coaching because it is complex all around. It's not algebra. It is calculus. Once you get into the SEC West, once you get into the Big Ten East, whatever division it is, even if it's a lower level Power 5 or not even Power 5, there are going to be teams that show you something pre-snapping. Oh, I got them. And they run something completely different. And you got a big dude running at you and you're not sure. That's not fun. That's when you also find out if a guy has it because he may fail a little bit and he's got to figure it out in the middle of a game. And on the sideline, they're trying to coach him up. They're like, look, we didn't see this in film. We need you to figure this out based on X, Y, and Z. No practice reps. Just go out and do it. That happens. Quarterback is hard. So with that, I'm going to present my screen here. I don't think there's going to be too many guys that are going to be like this young man. This is Will Hammond. He lives just outside of Austin, Texas, and he can ball. Now, watch some of the rhythm throws here, just natural with the motion. That's a heck of a throw right there. You can't go wrong with this. You absolutely can't go wrong with this. I don't think there's anybody that would disagree that Will Hammond is a good athlete based on that right there either. He's playing against Texas kids. These aren't chumps. I didn't know who the hell this kid was. He's going to Texas Tech. And by the way, Texas Tech got one heck of a football player. Finished in the top 10 by 247. Look at that. This kid can play for anybody. Again, data points, Elite 11 is phenomenal. It's my favorite event of the year, no question, because It's hard to get a lot of quarterback data no matter where you're at, because usually the quarterbacks at any given game are just okay. There's only so many really good quarterbacks. It's so difficult. So it's the most important one for us as scouts is Elite 11. Get a bunch of guys in one spot. That being stated, I don't think there's any way to go against what we're seeing right here. That whole shot right there. And Hammond's a damn good football player. Give that young man some credit. So what else is important about quarterback and how we rate things? I'm just going to be honest. It's not the same in terms of how it's evaluated with other spots. Not even close. How you act off the field, your demeanor, how you are evaluated is different with social media and everything else because you are the face of the program. All of those things are absolutely, unequivocally not fair and still 100% true. It is how NFL scouts grade things. It is how it is done at the NFL draft. Quarterback is different. You cannot be a knucklehead in playing the NFL anymore to begin with, because you will be exposed in some way, shape, or form. But that is especially true at the quarterback level. Back to Hammond right here, you can tell he has some natural maturity because he's under duress on several of these throws and still finds a way to make it happen with pretty darn good arm strength, I might add. This is a little extra. The accuracy, though, those are the little things they look for. This is kind of the stuff they look at when you talk about football in general. What do you want? What do you need out of your quarterback? Accuracy never goes away. Arm strength never goes away. But it's those decisions that are important. So once again, Elite 11, I love those guys, everybody, all the gals and guys that do it, they travel around the country. It's a lot of fun, but it's still just one data point. There's been all kinds of consternation about the rankings and all that stuff, whether it was Elite 11's rankings or 247 or on 3. It's one data point. Let it go. That's kind of my final point. It's a one data point. The season is still the biggest thing. The most important note with that is they're going to take the Elite 11 teaching, and there's a lot of it. They're going to get better this next season. So no matter what school you root for, if you had an Elite 11 quarterback, you're blessed. But at the same time, it's not stopping. That's the beginning point here. They're going to get better. In this next season, we need to talk about guys like Hammond, like my guy Air Noland going to Ohio State, whatever it is, and guys that didn't even they didn't make it to the final. There have been a lot of guys that didn't make it to the finals that ended up being really, really good. You know, Josh Allen, I highly doubt was an Elite 11 finalist. I'm going to go out on a limb there. It is a long process to be a quarterback. So with that, please like this podcast. Please share it. Please hit that notification bell. And please also comment. Everybody seems to have commentary about quarterbacks, whether they want to admit it or not. Everybody thinks they're an armchair quarterback. What's your opinion? Do you like camps like this and others? There's all kinds of different ones. Under Armour and the Rivals camps and all kinds of things. They all have their own purposes. What do you think? What's good for you, and why do you think it helps kids or doesn't? I'd love to hear it. I'll comment on it. And everybody have a great day. Thank you very much.